I want to thank you for joining us today. My name is Ted Broer. This is my wonderful wife, Sharon Broer. We're going to be talking about health and fitness for children. We'll also be talking about how you can seem to reverse the aging process. So we've got a lot of great information, so I want everyone listening, if at all possible, to go ahead and grab a sheet of paper and pencil, because we have 20 key steps today on how to have healthy children and wonderful children. Now, you may be asking, well, how in the world do you know a whole lot about kids? Well, I know a lot about kids because I've worked with a lot of kids in my office as far as patients, but I also have 4 of them. Now, we're going to tell you how we end up with gifted kids, and then, of course, we have a picture of all 4 of the children right here. And we're going to tell you how we have such gifted children, and a lot of it has to do with what we have fed these children before they were born, prenatally, and also what we fed the children and how we've raised the kids, you know, for the last 19 years with Austin. So we've got a lot of great information coming your way, and so we're going to also throw this back and forth to Sharon, because she's the primary caregiver, and now she's joining me today. So Sharon, what do you think are the top 20 ways to raise a healthy child? Let's go over it. What's the first thing you say a child has to have?
Well, first of all, it's so important that children get an adequate amount of sleep. And you know, when you think about children, think about us as an adult, how much sleep we need and our diets and everything. Children are no different. You know, I know parents that have got their kids up till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and they wake up the next morning and they're dragging and they're tired and they're not growing, because kids grow when they sleep.
And the reason that happens is when gravity pulls down on children when they're running around, it pulls down on all of us. And what happens is when you sleep, when a child gets 10 to 12 hours of sleep every night, he's laying in a prone position and gravity's not pulling down on his spinal cord, and he actually grows and his body actually gets larger as he sleeps. So many children, because they don't receive adequate sleep, they simply can't grow to the full height that God actually intended them to genetically, even if you give them good nutrition. So it's very, very important. If you want to have healthy children, they've got to have a lot of sleep.
That's right.
And that helps also reduce a lot of the stress levels in the kids, because it's very, very important. This is absolutely critical. When a child sleeps, their cortisol level continues to increase until morning. We've talked about cortisol levels on earlier shows. This is a stress hormone, and so that's why it's very important. The first thing in the morning, you need to do what for a child when they wake up? You need to get them a good breakfast. And in fact, what we do is we love to give the kids, let's talk about this for a second, because a lot of you who have children at home, you don't know what to feed the kids.
No.
And so that's one of the primary questions that I'm always asked whenever we do a talk show is, what do you feed your children? Why are your children in such good shape? Why are your children not obese? Why are your children so healthy? Why do your children never have any cavities? Why do they never have to go to the doctor? Why are they never sick? And here's what the number one thing is. Every morning they get up, they get a good source of protein. Now, when they're young, they need to be breastfed. You know, we'll talk about prenatal nutrition in a few minutes, but when you have a young child, they need to be breastfed. That's absolutely critical. If there's anything that you can do to avoid not having to put a child on formula, it's important, isn't it, Sharon?
That's right. You know, Ted, it's so funny. How many times have you gone to work or gone somewhere in the morning and kids are standing at the bus stop and their breakfast consists of maybe a Twinkie, a Ding Dong, a cupcake or something, and a soda in the other hand, and that's their breakfast. You know, I talked to my little 8-year-old the other day, and he said, "Mom, you know, some of these kids, they don't even eat breakfast in the morning." And I can't even imagine that, because that's their energy source for the day.
That's absolutely correct. And if you don't give a child a good source of protein in the morning, how in the world can you build strong bones and strong muscles? It's absolutely critical. In fact, what we always tell folks is this: when a child is first born, they need to be on breast milk. If they can't be on breast milk, you need to find a state. If your state sells and it's legal, you can put them on raw certified goat's milk, but you have to fortify the formula. Goat's milk by itself is deficient in a few nutrients that have to be placed back into the formula. So it's very important that you understand that you don't want to put them on straight goat's milk, but never put a newborn child on cow's milk, because they can't digest it. The molecular structure is too large, and they'll basically starve to death on cow's milk. Until when they're about 2 years old, you can continue to keep them on the goat's milk, or you can put them on raw certified cow's milk, which is okay at that point at 24 months. But remember, if you're going to give a child raw milk, it needs to be from a state-certified dairy to make sure it has no bacteria in it. That's absolutely critical that you do that, and very, very, very important. In fact, that's how we've raised all of our kids, and they're all absolutely healthy because of it.
Now, the second thing that's important, and it's something so simple that you do every day, which most kids don't do, is washing their hands. You've got to get your children so fanatic about washing their hands, because everything they see, they want to touch.
That's right.
In public settings, they go in the restroom, they touch the toilet seat, they touch the sink, and most people don't wash their hands when they leave the restrooms. And they're touching these, and then they touch their eyes, they rub their eyes, they put their hands in their mouth. It's nasty, and a lot of germs are being passed that way.
It was interesting. When I was in microbiology at Florida State University, we had a laboratory there, and we actually took a swab. This is interesting, folks. We had a petri dish, and it was full of agar, which is like a protein and sugar source, and it's what bacteria grows on. And we actually took a white cotton swab, and we went around on several doorknobs just in the hallway, and we took the white swab and we wiped it on the doorknobs with water so we could get whatever was on the doorknob off, and then we wiped it on the auger, and actually grew on that auger from the doorknobs what's called fecal coliform, which comes from when you use the bathroom. I mean, it's bad, and it was on the doorknobs. And so here's what we always tell our kids when they go into the bathroom: don't touch anything. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, this is so important, because remember, when they touch their noses and touch their faces, you know, a cold is a rhinovirus. You have to touch your face, touch your nose, and you spread it that way, and it goes, that's how you get inoculated with it. So always make sure that even when you go into the bathroom, when the kids go into the bathroom, number one is you don't touch anything in the bathroom, if at all possible. If you have to touch things in the bathroom, make sure you wash your hands with soap and water, running water, every time you do it. I don't like those disinfectants, the lotions, what do they call the disinfectant?
The sanitizers.
I don't like those at all.
They're full of alcohol.
They're full of alcohol, and they dry out your skin, but I make sure they use a little bit of soap and wash their hands really well. Then they grab a paper towel. We've taught them to do this, and when they leave the bathroom, they open the door with the paper towel because of what I learned in microbiology, and then their hands are clean. And same, I know when we go to Disney World with the kids, because we live close to Orlando, in many cases you'll see them, they're touching all the handrails, touching everything, and you've got to teach them not to do that. That's very, very important.
Also, when they take the paper towel, turn the faucet on and off with the paper towel, because people touch that, and that's nasty too.
Right.
So you just can't get by it.
That's right. Now, it's another thing we were talking about a minute ago. We were talking about breakfast. We give the kids eggs on a regular basis. And now let me share something with you. This is very, very important, because this is something that people don't understand what happened with eggs. The studies that showed that eggs raise cholesterol were done about 50 years ago. The studies were done by the cereal manufacturers trying to get people to stop eating eggs. And they took powdered egg yolks, oxidized cholesterol, and they gave it to animals to elevate cholesterol, including humans. And what they found was that when they ate powdered egg yolks, which is unbelievably stressful on your body because of the way it's oxidized, that it elevated cholesterol. Well, sure that it does, but no study has ever been done that has shown that regular yard eggs, like wild chicken eggs, when you crack them out of the shell, will cause elevated cholesterol. It just doesn't happen. It can't be proven. It's not possible. And I hear people all the time, well, I had a 4-egg omelet today, but it was only, you know, the whites of the eggs, it wasn't the yolks. Very unhealthy to do that, because the yolk contains sulfur. Good for your hair, good for your nails, good for your skin, and children have to have sulfur to grow properly, and they need to be eating eggs every single day. My wife and I eat eggs every single day, and our cholesterol's perfect.
And when you buy the eggs, spend a little bit extra money and buy the yard eggs, the ones that don't have the steroids and the hormones and the antibiotics injected in the chickens. I think the chicken actually sees the rooster every now and then.
He does visit the rooster
But they're
occasionally.
really good, and they really make a difference.
What's the next thing on the list, Sharon?
The next thing is purified water.
Oh, absolutely.
We've talked about that as far as adults. It's so important that children have purified water, because the other day a mother had her child in this store, and the child was sick. And she said, he's getting over this cold or whatever he had. And he says, but he won't eat his lunch. And she started fussing at him because he wasn't eating his hamburger and his cola. Now, you finish that cola, and I'm thinking, you know, the child's trying to get over this illness, this sickness, and she's giving him all this sugar in the sodas, because sodas are full of sugar. Also, juices are very high in sugar. And when we tell people to give their children, if they want to give their children juices, to get organic juices and dilute them, because that's way too much sugar to put into a little body like that.
Well, it's absolutely true. I remember one time we were in church years ago, and there was a lady had a brand new baby.
Oh, that's right.
And the brand new baby was sitting behind us in the pew, just screaming its little heart out. And I remember I looked back at the baby, and I couldn't believe it. The mother had soda in the bottle with a 3-month-old infant, giving the 3-month-old infant soda. Now, friends, we've got to remember that purified water is one of the most important things we can give our kids. Our kids come home from school and they say, Dad, we ran out of water today in our lunchbox, and we basically don't have, you know, the water at the school tastes so bad, we don't want to drink it. In fact, there's certain types of plastic bottles that you actually have to give the kids at school for lunch, and they don't like that either, because they could taste that plastic in there. Because remember, they use softening agents in that plastic, and it picks up inside of the water, and you actually put that poison inside of your body. So that's why we use distilled to reverse osmosis, and we only store our water at home basically in a stainless steel tank. We actually have a distiller that we have, and we also have glass bottles that we stored, and we put it in the refrigerator, and then we pump it directly to the refrigerator so we make distilled ice cubes too. So the kids love the water, and if you ever come into our house, you're welcome to. You'll be able to taste the water. It's absolutely delicious.
What about the lemonade we make? We take the lemonade, we take fresh lemons, squeeze them, and just add water, and then we sweeten it with stevia, and the kids love it. Now, I know stevia isn't a sweetener that tastes good in everything, but we found that it tastes really good in lemonade, and the kids love it.
And plus, also, if you have have adult onset diabetes, as in about the show right now, the lemons are very, very good at strengthening the liver and the pancreas. If you use 1 ounce of lemon juice for 9 ounces of water and sweeten it with stevia, it's an excellent tonic. It helps bring blood sugar down, and the kids absolutely think it's wonderful because it tastes like lemonade to them, and it's actually delicious. Actually, I like it better than lemonade that has sugar in it. It has a much better flavor. It's a lot healthier for you.